Hello, my name is Justin McDaniel. I'm an extension educator with the Pontotoc County Extension Service with the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service. Today we're going to talk about housing and corrals. When we think about housing and corrals, the big thing that we need to take into mind is that at one time goats were wild animals and they were adapted to a wide range of climates and environmental conditions, but over time we've domesticated them, so we need to protect them against three things: wind, rain, and the cold. And so those are the big things that really influence the health of a goat. If we let these goats get cold or wet, they will definitely become sick and we have some health problems on our hands. So we want to invest in some good housing. Housing doesn't have to be expensive. It needs to fit your operation. Whether you're raising purebred goats or if you're raising goats for brush control. The type of housing that you have needs to fit your operation. It needs to look good, or it needs to blend in with the surrounding that it's in. It could be something simple, could be some existing structures that you already have. It could be something as elaborate as newly built facilities, metal buildings, but just make sure that it's economical and it works into your situation. We've seen people that used old block buildings, calf hutches, half of oil-filled tanks, even as elaborate as railroad boxcars. When we start to think about structures, the basic structure that we are standing in front of here is a three-sided structure. This is probably the simplest to construct and the most inexpensive to construct, and still provide the shelter that these animals need. This three-sided structure, if you look at it, it needs to be facing the direction that is not going to be allowed into prevailing wind. Typically we face a lot of these structures to the east because we have strong north and south winds. We very seldom have inclement weather comes out of the east. So in Oklahoma we typically face a lot of these structures to the east. When you start to look at the design of these buildings, you want to slope them with the highest part being in the front so that the water runs off the back of the structure, so that you don't have a lot of mud and drainage into the front of your shelter. We'll start out with the front of the shelter being about 6 feet tall, down to about 3 feet tall or 4 feet tall in the back. The lower we keep the top of the structure, the easier it is to maintain the animal body temperature inside the structure. If we make big high ceilings, it's hard to keep them warm. These can be built out of very simple materials, many of which you may already have around your operation. This one's built out of simple 2x4s and treated lumber and sheet metal on the outside. A lot of times we've seen people use plywood or metal or wooden structures. The one thing that we want to caution you about is if you use wooden structures, be careful about painting them, because goats are prone to chewing on wood and wood structures, and a lot of times paint contains some toxic chemicals that might be harmful to the animals. When you look at the structure, the other thing that is a big part of the structure is the flooring. Flooring can be many different things. The main thing is we want the flooring to be dry. If the animals are dry, they're going to stay warm easier. So this one here is simple natural dirt structure in the floor. You can also use concrete flooring if you want to be a little more, add some expense to it. It's easier to keep clean if it has a concrete floor in it, but it's probably not going to be as comfortable for the animals. We have a dirt floor here. We also could add a couple of inches of straw or hay, poor quality hay in the bottom of this to help maintain some heat. What a lot of producers won't like to do is they leave some layers of straw and bedding in the bottom of this, and during the decomposition of that straw and bedding it will produce heat to help promote some heat during the winter time. The other thing that we see is once we go past a three-sided shed is confinement buildings. Confinement buildings are definitely more expensive, but allow you some different opportunities as a producer. What we have as far as the things that we need to consider if we go to a confinement system, confinement building, is we need to have lighting and ventilation. Lighting is probably not going to be hard to provide. We can use natural lighting through visible sunscreens, or we can use artificial lighting through electric lighting. We also want to have ventilation to promote some fresh air into the barn so that we don't have sickness. But like we said, the big thing about structures is mainly you need one. Make sure you have one that is economically viable for you and fits into your operation. The next thing we can talk about is corrals and handling facilities. The better you have, the better system that you have, the more you're going to enjoy handling your goats. If you have a good working pen, you're going to do a better job of doing health management practices, and you're going to treat sick animals quicker, and you're probably going to preserve the life of many of your animals in a more timely manner, because you're not going to put off handling your animals because you're dreading having to handle animals in a poor working facility or poor working environment. Working facilities can be built out of a variety of materials. Most of them need to be very durable, made to last a long time, but you need to know that over time you're going to have to provide maintenance to any working facility, no matter what type of material you build it out of, because gates are going to sag, wires are going to break, and fences are going to begin to bow and need to be repaired. So whatever system you design, know that it's probably going to need a little maintenance. The big thing about working pens is you probably need to investigate the 5 P's. Prior planning prevents poor performance. And so if you do those things, build it in a good area, build it in an area that is well drained so that you can get to it at any time of the year. If you need to transport goats out of that facility, you don't have to worry about getting stuck or being able to access the facility at any time that you need to. Also, you may want to look at building a facility where you can house goats during the kidding time, where you can actually use kidding pens. A lot of producers want to use kidding pens to ensure the safety of their animals during the delivery process, as well as being able to appraise those goats after their delivery and make sure that those animals are healthy before they turn them out into big wide open areas. The other thing that you may want to use your handling facilities for, or some of your facilities for, is buck pens, because you're not always going to leave the bucks out with your does. You want to have some facilities there that are good and strong to handle these bucks during the off seasons. But handling facilities that are built, well planned out, are a viable part of your operation. You don't have to have a wrestling team. Your whole family doesn't have to be involved to work goats. It can be a one-man operation, so that you don't have to have everyone involved and encourage your animals to be wild, or even jeopardize your own health and safety if you're working in substandard conditions.